Hey, JulesBlessedVegan, and as always, welcome to my channel. And for those of you who are new, I know you can benefit. Welcome to 104 in the high desert. It's at least 104. It might be 107. Whatever the case is, I have been melting, but I am happy to check in with my JBV community. So people, yesterday I had a bit of a meltdown. I did a great video on a great topic, which I'm going to reshare anyway. But I panicked. I got hypercritical. If you go up to my search, you'll find articles, talks that I've given on being hypercritical, on how to care and love yourself, how to be self-accepting, etc. But to share it and to live it are two different things, right? So by the end of the video, first of all, it was live, but no one showed up, just me and God. Then I started to panic. I'm like, oh my gosh, I look so fat. I look so ugly. And everybody's seeing the mess. Well, actually, that stuff is to be sold or donated. This bed is completely empty. Thank you so much. So I've actually got quite a bit done for those who have been watching me try and put my kitchen back together. But anyway, I panicked. So I looked and it said no views yet. So I was like, well, what's the big deal? And I erased it. So then a little later, Awesome Annie, and again, she's 101 Annie on Instagram, wrote me and said, hey, what happened to that great video? I'm like, hooey, Woody? Great video. Somehow she had captured that video. And I'm like, I panicked and I erased it. And she's like, Juliana. And I was totally, yeah, I look so fat. I look so ugly. And she's like, we do not talk to ourselves that way. And I thought, how beautiful. Sadly, I do get caught in that terrible frame of mind. And it certainly doesn't serve me to talk that way. It'll never get me closer to my end goal, right? But yeah, that's where I was. So thank you to Annie for just giving, encouragement to Galen, another follower on this channel, who was just like, you know what, Jules is bigger than you. And I knew that in the beginning. The message was bigger than me. And, God has a plan and I'm just a vessel. So ladies, thank you so much. I am here yet again. So many times I have to talk myself into sharing the message, but here I am, by grace and by your encouragement. Thank you so much. All right, so this is the great article, which of course I'll include in the description of the video. It's by A Conscious Rethink, and it's titled, Why is it vital for you to live one day at a time? And best of all, it gives you the actual how. It's one thing to talk about it, it's another to actually give tools to do it, right? So it's amazing how many of us live life with our thoughts fixed firmly in the past or in the future, but pay very little attention to the present. Dwelling on the past is a trap, and that's a hyperlink, meaning you can click on it for more information, that many of us fall into, consumed by what might have been or how it was all so much better way back when, which is hilarious to me. When people say, oh, I would have liked to live, at the Revolutionary War period, or I wanted to live during when Jesus was here. I'm like, can you say underwear, bra, running water? like indoor plumbing? There are so many things that did not exist. The romance of the time. I don't know, people. You're braver than I am. But by doing this, we struggle to accept the realities of what is right here and right now. In contrast, some of us prefer to focus our attention on what we want for the future. We convince ourselves that we'll be happy once we've achieved X, Y, Z, right? Whatever that magical thing is. I'm here to argue that you should neither be living your life in the past nor in the future, but actually start living in the here and now, taking each day as it comes. We need to stop letting the days slide by and start valuing every single one for the gift that it is. At the end of the day, all we truly have is this present moment right now. What we think of as the past is in fact our memories of the past. And this is so important, take this in, which our brains can and do select, alter, and skew. I didn't really know that. I learned that in college. I did a lot of talks and debate on that, about how memory is fluid and how it changes based on your current understanding of things. The past itself cannot be changed, try as we might. The future is completely intangible, meaning you can't grab, touch, do anything. And unless you're a believer in fate, is as yet completely undecided. And even if you do believe in fate, oh, God's in charge of everything, God's already, whatever. God is grace. Okay, He is grace over fate all day long, as He proved so many times in the Old Testament, where He allowed people to obviously change their ways. And in doing so, the path was changed as well, right? So those who prayed, those who dared to ask forgiveness, literally changed that path. So to an extent, there's no doubt that God is omniscient. There's no doubt that He's all-knowing. But the grace of free will and allowing us to change our destination through our choices, I'm all in. So let me see. It can only be shaped by the things you do every day and the decisions you make in the present. Even then, you can never be quite sure what's coming your way. I mean, sure, we don't live in a vacuum, right? So we do make our choices. We do build our tomorrow by our actions today. But even with the most perfect plan, we get intersected by those on their perfect plan. Essentially, the only thing you have any influence over today, so logically, the only thing you have any influence over, is today. That's all you have influence over is today. So logically, the present is the only thing you should spend your time worrying about. While we should be taking life one day at a time no matter what, there are some solutions in which doing so becomes particularly relevant and important. Let's take a look at a few different scenarios that we will all face sooner or later, just through the human experience. Let's consider why taking each day as it comes is the best approach in all these different contexts. Number one, when you're going through a tough time, which inevitably everyone experiences. Every single human on the planet, even the most privileged among us, will go through rough patches during the course of their life. It's just part and parcel of the human experience, no matter how charmed our lives may look from the outside. We know everybody has a backstory, right? But it's when we're feeling low that we're more likely than ever to start dwelling on things that we or others did in the past. Or set our sights on a time far in the future where things will be different and we can finally be happy. Chime the music, right? What you need to be conscious of is that neither looking forward nor backwards is going to make you feel any better about how things are right here and right now. Taking one day at a time means not asking too much of yourself or neglecting your own needs. Focusing on just today means that you can make sure you nourish your mind and body, taking baby steps necessary to make changes in your life. And that, again, is a hyperlink. So, yeah, I mean, that's why I'm a Serenity Prayer girl, right? And I've done an entire talk on the Serenity Prayer. But yeah, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Usually, if I want to go into the future or I want to hop to the past, it's because I do not want to be in this moment. Something in this moment is threatening me and I'm not comfortable with it. So the serenity to accept the things I can't change, but the courage to change the things I can. What can I act on? If nothing else, my own mindset, breathing. What can I do? Having a boundary and saying no. What can I do in this very moment? And of course, the wisdom to know the difference, which for me is all God's grace, seriously. All right, number two, when you've got a big long-term goal, and I made this mistake a lot. I used to make these 1,000-day goals. And then I wouldn't celebrate in between. Like when you have a 1,000-day goal, it's so hard to wait for the end of that and to not do small celebrations. I tend to go to the negative with myself. So for me, it was 1,000 opportunities to negate or criticize or decide I'd failed. So super important. Let's see. Whether you're training for an Olympic gold or long distance trek, learning a new skill or starting your own business, we all tend to look forward to the day when we'll finally have achieved it. We forget to enjoy the journey, which is so important, right? Which is a massive shame because the journey is often the best part. Having a goal that will take a long time to reach means that you can easily lose focus on it if you don't break it down into tiny goals and intentions. So like chunking, right? To be fulfilled every single day. I mean, all those things are building up to the ultimate anyway, but how can you break it down into manageable parts? And by you, I mean me. I'm always talking to myself and hoping it'll just benefit someone else. It's hard to stay motivated when you don't realize that the cumulative effect of the things you do every single day means you'll eventually achieve the goal. And I know Tanny Rowe would always say, moment plus moment equals momentum, right? How can you build to get to where you need? Focusing on your small daily achievements will help you stay grounded. Oh, it's so true because it just gets too big. I think of a little kid when you dish out a bunch of food for them and it's way too big. The portions are just too big. And they just sit there and look at the mound. And they're just like, how do they even begin? And will they ever get to the bottom of that plate? Especially if it's eat everything on your plate until dessert. I used to fall asleep. So yeah. How can we make it into manageable chunks? And moving forward slowly but surely. Slowly but surely. Number 3, when you're looking forward to something, sure, you're excited about your wedding or your big adventure or your new house, but that doesn't mean you should be wishing the days away. If we spend our lives trying to make time pass quicker until whatever it is happens, sooner or later we'll run out of time altogether. And we'll wish we could go back and live all those wasted days properly. Learning to savor the anticipation and look forward to something in a healthy manner without discounting the enjoyment that can be gained every single day can make your life an awful lot richer. I completely agree. And I was thinking, I just think of the importance of that. It's so sad to lament what could have been. It's so sad to wish that, that you'd done whatever it was, and I was thinking about that because someone was sending around an article and it was saying how if you're over 60 years old, you need to just spend that money. You need to just live in the present. You need to stop worrying about your kids. They'll take care of themselves. Get on with living. And it's so true because so many people have ailments, right? They're in too much pain to even go on that trip they were dreaming about after retirement. And it was just like, get on with it, All right. How to live one day at a time. This is the how-to, people. Now we've established why and when we should be living one day at a time. Let's look at how. This is one of those things that sounds simple but can be hard to do in practice, especially if you spent your whole life yearning for the past or focusing on the future. Here are a few small ways to anchor yourself firmly in the present and truly live life every single day in the present. Okay, so number 1, look after your mind and body. Again, yeah. All of a sudden, you're in retirement and your body just doesn't even work anymore. The hopes you had, you're in too much pain to even dwell on, right? So sorry. But please know, for those of you who are not yet even plant-based, just plant-based, let alone plant-based vegan, meaning like raw vegan, because plant-based is vegan. I don't want to confuse that, but the different levels of vegan, you can absolutely turn your life around. I see the miracle stories. Spend a day on TikTok. Spend a day on Forks Over Knife website. Spend a day in the raw vegan community and just see how 1 year can magically give you back your health, So tip number 1, and the most important of all, is to ensure that you're nourishing your mind and body every single day. You can't expect to thrive if you're not giving yourself the necessary fuel and care day in and day out. And that's really hard, to be consistent, but you have to be more consistent than not, right? To see some of the rewards of that. And again, I'm always talking to myself, but if you go up into my search again, I mean, I showed how my thyroid was healed, how my kidneys were greatly improved, how my asthma was greatly improved, how my familial tremor is completely gone. Like so many things that I recovered from. Perfectly imperfect. So please know that there's always hope. Don't decide it's too late. Okay, number 2, don't live on autopilot. So important. I get caught up in the rush. That's how I gained all this weight this past year. I got caught in autopilot and just was so busy checking every box required of me that I lost sight of caring for myself. Really bad. Oh my gosh. I'm so grateful that I woke up just before summer and that I have the momentum of this summer to get me on task to carry me forward, because wow, such a scary time. So it says when we get into a routine and start doing the same thing every day, it's easy to stop being aware of those things. Catch yourself whenever you slide into autopilot and firmly bring yourself back into the room and start noticing the details around you, including the sights, sounds, and smells. And again, if you go up into my search, I have like mindfulness videos, and it teaches you that no matter what you're doing, to just take a moment, hear the sounds around you, smell the smells around you, take in the sights around you briefly. It's enough to pull you back in. When I wake up in the middle of the night, I always take time to pray. Even when I, upon waking, take a moment to say things I'm grateful for, I start with the simplicity, the profound simplicity of breathing. I start with being able to hear the birds outside my window, to be able to be in sheets with a blanket on a bed, to have 4 walls around me. Like, start with the basics and build from there, for real. Number 3, keep a journal, and that's a hyperlink on teaching you how. Recording your thoughts, worries, hopes, and observations is a wonderful way of checking in with yourself on a daily basis and getting anything that's been worrying you off your chest. Each night, grab a pen, open your journal, and note down the important things that happened that day. And I'd like to add to that, because I saw a great talk on this guy who said that upon ending his day at work, wherever that may be, he quickly writes down the 6 things that are on his mind for tomorrow. What are 6 things he needs to accomplish tomorrow? And so he jots those down. One, when you have a sense that you've already written it on paper, it's not going anywhere, that might spare you the anxiety that the minute your head hits the pillow, you start reflecting on. But also the most brilliant part was the following morning when you arrive and you see your list. He said, check off, like literally scratch out 3 of those things. Like, why be so hard on yourself? Yeah, 6 things, that'd be great. But 3 actually achieved would be even better. And I love that. Number 4, stop worrying about the what ifs. Okay, I teach 6th graders. They are what ifers, okay? Like, no matter what the conversation is, it'll be, well, what if, and what if, anyone else have a question? What if, so I'll take one more question. What if, okay, people, what if we dare to be excited about what we're doing and accept what comes our way? What if we wait for what we're doing and problem solve throughout? One time I had a principal in my room, and the 100th kid said, what if? And I finally shut them down. I said, people, I'm done with the what ifs. Let's get on with this. She wrote me up. She said I was being impatient with the children. I was like, chick, when was the last time you were in a classroom? Because when you have these 30 kids for 6.5 hours a day, and they're at the age of what if, you also would say, hold that thought. We got to get on with the lesson. But, whatever. Okay. Worrying about what might or could happen is all we know, as we all know, is a total waste of time. Worrying about it will do precisely nothing to change the future. It will only make you miserable now and divert your attention from all the good stuff that's going on around you. So true. I'm not a what if person, not very much. And I definitely don't stop what I want to do at the risk of what if. I have people in my life, though, that are paralyzed by it, and I'm so sorry. Especially because it literally says only 8% of anything we worry about comes to fruition. So 92% of our what ifs never even manifest. All right, number 5, set achievable daily goals. That's what I mean by that list of 6 being cut down to 3. The only goal in your life shouldn't be big and tangible and hovering somewhere in the future. That's something that you probably won't even achieve. Setting small achievable goals for yourself every day and doing your best to tick them off, meaning mark them off your list, will fill you with a sense of achievement and purpose when you go to bed at night. Try writing these goals on a to-do list or post-it notes to keep things visual and present in your mind throughout the day. The key here is not to be too ambitious and to not get angry at yourself if sometimes you don't achieve them. Oh, so true. I'm so much harder on myself. I'm sure it's true for you as well than anyone else in your life. And I'm just so sorry for that. Because really, I have to be an advocate for myself. And it's really unfortunate because really on any given day, I achieve far more than most people in my life. My life asks more of me, than them. But anyway, number 6, congratulate yourself on small things. There are days when even getting out of bed, take this in. Let's all take a moment. Because this is so true. There are days when even getting out of bed can seem like a huge challenge. So when you do get up, get dressed, and feed yourself, pat yourself on the back. There are days when you'll achieve great things, but the days that really count are the ones in which you still show up and get things done, even when you just want to curl up in a ball and hibernate. Right? Just because I don't take medication for things doesn't mean it's not still a challenge for me. I will always have clinical depression. It's a chemical imbalance in my body, which I don't medicate for anymore. But it doesn't mean some days aren't nearly impossible to function, but by grace, right? And I think it's really sad because often I'll see a teacher and they'll say, how are you doing? And I mean, how are they doing? And right away they'll say, oh, well, I didn't get my lesson done this morning. And I'm like, wait. I meant, how are you? How are you feeling? Like how, right? And then I'll say, you know what? You showed up today. And showing up is 90% of it. The other 10 is just details. But you showed up. Can we celebrate that? All right, number 7. Remember that you only get to live each day once. That's another great thing Tanny Raw used to always say. She'd always say, have a whatever, happy Monday, happy Tuesday, whatever it was. And remember, this day only comes once, in all of time. We only have this day one time. Like, what are you going to do about it, And it was just such a beautiful thought that, wow, you're right. It never happened before. It'll never come again. All right. When you find yourself forgetting to take each day as it comes, remind yourself that every day that goes by is lost to you forever. We only have a limited number of days on this earth, so each one should be lived to the full. That's a hyperlink as well. Not spent dwelling on the past and fretting about the future. All right. Let's go back and let me know in the comments below what touched you and what you might choose to focus on. So number 1 in how do we do it was when you're going through when this occurs that you choose to be in the past or present. Okay, let's try again. Okay. Because I broke the article up. I forgot. Okay, so the first part of the article is why people often choose to project to the future or refer to the past. Number 1 is if they're going through a tough time. Number 2 was when you have a big long-term goal. And number 3 was when you're looking forward to something. That's where people tend to get off balance and they're not in the present moment. Okay, then how do you live a day at a time? And those were these other ones where number 1 was primarily look after your mind and body. Because once you're sick, there is no other focus. Number 2, don't live on autopilot. Pull yourself back in. Work on that mindfulness. Be present. Number 3, keep a journal to help you, stay on that plan, to see what your original goal was, to celebrate yourself when you achieve it. And number 4, stop worrying about the what ifs. The what ifs. What if it never happens? What if it doesn't work out? What if it makes them mad? What if, what if, what if? For me, that is so paralyzing. It's really sad. Number 5 was achievable daily goals. Can you chunk it? And again, that list of 6 cut down to 3, so it's realistic. Number 6, congratulate yourselves on the small things, right? And there really aren't any small things, but if you got out of bed, right? If you smiled more than you wanted to, if you helped a person that you didn't feel like helping, those are all big things. Did you show up? Celebrate it. And number 7, remember that you only get to live each day once. This is it, people. The cool thing and freeing thing about that, though, is if you had a miserable day, you can be pretty confident that that same situation and the same misery of that day will not take place again either. And to me, that's very freeing. All right, people. Like I said, it was a worthy talk. I just panicked and erased it. But I'd like to know your input on that. As always, like if you like, join us if you haven't, subscribe. Let me know in the comments below how I may support you. And until we talk again, I was just trying to check the time on this. I went actually a little longer. It's all good. Until we talk again, best of all, truly know that you're blessed. And that I'm blessed that you're part of my JBV community. Peace out, y'all.